The first paycheck we ever got was a brand deal with some wallet company, and we went and spent that money to go to Amelia Island. I grew up in the car world and in the social media world, and I was always just absolutely infatuated by YouTubers. I mean, I've been watching VINwiki since the very start. All of these other creators, Tavarish, Poobie's Garage, Matt Armstrong, I mean, TJ Hunt, you name it. I've been a fan of these people, and through my experience in the car world, I've gotten to meet a lot of them, Shmi and other great people. And I always wanted to be a YouTuber, but it's one of those things that feels so unobtainable. And to be honest, it's because it is really hard work. And that's like one of the things about YouTube that a lot of people don't understand. But I was always a part of that world. I always worked in social media. I started my career as a car photographer when I was 13 years old. I basically rode my bike over to a random detail shop. I loved cars. I loved photography. I convinced them to hire me. They were paying me not a lot of money, but I was a kid. I got to spend all my time around cool cars, and I got to learn, and I got to meet really cool people. And for me, it was always like how I was going to make it work, not if I was going to make it work. I always knew that I was going to do something in the space. Through that career in photography, I got to do lots of traveling. I went to every Monterey Car Week since I was 16 years old. I got to meet all these cool people. And I never figured out what my way in to the space was. And that was always my question. Because I had many YouTube channels, none of them very successful. As every kid my age does, you always try. The only thing that I ever really saw success was my photography. And I would say I was a good networker, but again, it doesn't matter if you're not good on camera. Until me and my best friend Jackson, who I had many YouTube channels with in the past, again, never went anywhere. We have some channels. If you are fans of Captain Crankshaft, you can look up Limited Slip. It's the name of another channel of ours, and you'll find videos of us doing dumb things with my first car, with one of Jackson's first cars, and pretty great content over there. It's also horrible content, which is why it never went anywhere, but it's funny. And I think I was just always trying. And it never really went anywhere. I ended up going off to school, sort of went my separate ways with Jackson. And then while I was at school, Jackson started a business-related YouTube channel, ended up really taking off. They got bought out, and we sort of approached each other. He said, I want to do car stuff. We both had always loved cars. We grew up loving cars together. I met Jackson when I was probably 14 years old at the Lars Anderson Auto Museum. I was taking pictures, he was taking videos. We were the only young people there. We immediately hit it off, and we both just always had this passion for content creation. And then from there is when we started Captain Crankshaft. He started it a few weeks before I came on, but I said, I want to be a part of that. Like, let me help you. I know I can. I know cars really well. I know this world really well. I had already made great connections with plenty of YouTubers. I knew like Tim Shmi150 very well. I had met a lot of other people, and I just knew a lot of people in the space because for me, I was always traveling around doing car photography. So I'd shot cars for these people. I had shot cars for big brands. And then Jackson had the social media experience. And I think we just sort of combined together. We started Captain Crankshaft. It was doing talking head stuff like this, car news. And we really loved it. I mean, it was growing really fast. We were growing in subscribers faster than pretty much any other car YouTube channel. But we were doing car news, which was really cool. But for us, we wanted to do stuff with the cars. We took a big risk buying our first project car, and it sort of just started selling from there. I think we have a pretty unique experience in this world because, like I said, I grew up watching every single one of these car YouTubers, including VINwiki. It's like I'm sitting here right now, and it's weird. But I grew up watching all these car YouTubers, and being able to be a colleague with people that I've looked up to my whole life and like people that I've envied is such a crazy experience. But then you also get the opposite of realizing how difficult it is and how much less glamorous it is than it seems. I think people always assume just because you're a YouTuber and you have a lot of subscribers, you just make infinite money. I think that's a very common misconception. And I mean, me and Jackson, we barely pay ourselves. The first year we didn't pay ourselves a dime. Every single dollar was reinvested into the cars. Every single dollar was reinvested into traveling. The first paycheck we ever got was a brand deal with some wallet company, and we went and spent that money to go to Amelia Island. We hadn't made like probably more than $800 in a month off of YouTube AdSense. We were doing a lot of views, but it was all just like short form views. They aren't very valuable. And we just took this big risk, which was spending all that money to travel. Then we met some great people and they advised us, you should try a project car if that's what you want to do. So we got back, got our next big brand deal, which we actually got through a friend we had met there. Then we bought our first project car. Without that car, we wouldn't be where we are. It was the first thing that allowed us to really do what we love, which is building cars and spending time around cars. The car news is fun and telling stories is fun, but for us, it's always being with the cars, building cars, doing something you love, and that's what we love. It's always funny being the person that looked up to everybody and now is getting advice from everybody and realizing how difficult it is. I think for us, the future is just keep on taking the risks, keep on pushing ourselves harder. I think something that we have done in the past is push ourselves hard, but sometimes we get a little bit scared of it. One of the biggest things that like got us where we were is taking that first risk. And I think there's another risk to be taken again, and we just have to figure out what that is. We want to build more cars. We want to build crazier cars, but we also want to build cars that we like. We bought an M5. We thought it was going to be great. It was a car we wanted to rebuild and ended up flopping, no views. People didn't care, and it was a hard project. So we decided that from now on, we're going to build cars that we care about because that's what our audience resonates with. And I think we just want to do more of what we love and take that one step further every time. I think advice to ourselves would always be do what you love. I think if you have a passion for something, it comes across so clearly on camera that if you're doing something that you don't really care about or something that doesn't like mean something to you, which for us was the car news, I just don't think there's any longevity into it. And I think with YouTube, you really have to be committed. So for us, doing cars that we love, doing cars that we care about, doing cars that are something that we want to do, a car I want to get up and work on, a car I want to get up and drive, a car I want to take across the country, a car I want to bring to car shows and show people, something we're proud of. I think those projects have always been the ones that have resonated with our audience. So make sure you love what you're doing. A lot of people think that like you can just go on YouTube and make a video about anything and they think, oh, I have this good idea and maybe it'll work because I haven't seen something about it. But if you don't care about it, it doesn't really matter because people are there for the story. And if you don't care about the story, someone else is going to care about the story. So I think for us, make sure there's a story and make sure you care about what you're doing and you love it. And then I think it'll always be much higher of a percentage of chance of working. To be honest, I still don't know if Captain Crankshaft is going to work fully, but I think the moment that I first really felt like we had a chance of becoming somebody in the car building space and doing something in this space was when we posted this first short. And it was something so simple. It was the first short with our 911. And me and Jackson put our heart and soul in this video. That car was built to honor Jackson's late father. That car had so much meaning to us. And the first video we put together, that was it was a video full of passion. And it was very moving. And the fact that we were able to tell that story of someone that we both loved very much and someone that meant so much to us with a car was the first time that I really felt like, okay, this is something that actually will work. And then the first Aston Martin video, that story was just about the car. That was our first time really trying to tell the story of just a car with no personal involvement. And people resonated just really well with the story of that car and us saving it. And I think between that first video with the Porsche and the first video of the Aston Martin, that was when I was like, okay, first of all, we can do it with a car, we can tell a story. And then second of all, we can tell just the story of a car and make people care.
Successful car purchasing is all about knowing your buying power and being able to move quickly, and the best way to do that is getting pre-qualified with Premier Financial Services. Call one of these numbers, speak to one of their representatives, fill out their application, and then you'll know exactly how much car you can buy. You'll approach a seller, tell them you're already qualified, you've got your simple lease set up from Premier Financial, and you'll be able to close very, very quickly. That's why Premier is one of the most powerful partners in the world of exotic car financing, and that's why I turn to them every time I go out and try to buy something crazy.